Well, hello, folks. It's BG, and since the 48-hour group build is now done enough, it's time to get back onto some serious builds. Rotating, and that's going to be the Jimmy kit. So we've got the Iceman V1 frame, and yes, just looking right through that at the truck behind there, isn't it? But we need to figure out what our length is going to be. So the best way I figured how to do that was going to be by building the existing chassis that comes with the kit. And we just went ahead and kind of slapped this together with some Tamiya thin cement. And didn't even clean up a lot of parts. See, they got a lot of boogers and stuff on there. So didn't even clean up the parts a lot. But we figure what we need to do is, we don't even have to have a number, really. We just need a distance. So let's going to take these little guys right here, and we're going to place those inside the axle tubes where the metal axles would go. And there we go. Okay, so let's see if I can pick that up and show it closer to the camera. So there we go. I have those sort of plastered in there, almost centered in there, which is great. That should work out just fine. So there we go. I need that distance right there. So take a look at the chassis. And oh, it's hard to figure out where that's going to be. So we need to build this guy up so we can figure out how much overlap we need and where we can slice it at, because I don't want to cut it too short. You know the old saying, I've cut it 3 times, it's still too short. Don't want any of that. So we want to make sure we can get this as perfect as possible. It's all hyphenated. So we're going to dig some stuff off the trees. Looks like I'm missing a rotor. It's in the box. Okay, good. Missing a rotor. We're going to cut some parts off of some trees, do a little bit of white glue mock-up on both the front and back half, and then we'll figure out what our distance is going to be, because then we'll have the distance between the spindles, and we can work from that. So that's the plan. Let's get onto it. Okay, so just a few minutes, and we started breaking some stuff off there. I went along the bottom of the base on the front suspension pieces and clipped off as many as I could, until it became really easy to just rock those back and forth and pop them off there. That was the parts came off the supports very, very easily, and didn't even leave that much of a nub. So let's see if the camera will focus with us here. So this is a very delicate looking piece, so I want to take some precautions on that one. And oh gosh, I thought it was broken, but it's not. That's part of the support right there. So just pull that off there like this, and we're gonna snip those guys. Oops, we'll throw it on the table first. Hey Bert, there we go. And snippy snippy, that's all it is. That's it. A little bit of cleanup on there. We're good to go. But for our purposes, this is good enough right now. So that's that guy. And this is for the rear suspension. This is very nicely done. Look at this. Good looking bags, right? I got to clean up the other piece of front suspension there. Here is the completely printed in place rear 4-link system. That's beautiful. And then we have our disc brakes and calipers all kind of sit over here, and then our fuel cell, just kind of toss that in the back there. But we're going to mock up the front and rear suspension so we know where our spindles are going to sit, so we can figure out our distances. So we're going to come back with that. So we are ready to glue up our little cross beam here with the bags on it. This is how it's supposed to go in the frame. I was thinking it should go up across, in between here, but that's not correct. It actually is going to go a little bit lower down on the vertical edge on the back side of the frame. So we want to make sure that we get that as level as possible, because that's going to determine your ride height right there. So I kind of have this placed up a little higher probably than I need to. And then this whole assembly, you see how it's got the angle printed on there? That's going to match up to the angle of this really, really nicely. And these really cool looking brackets look like they're going to hide all of that really cool kind of holds it in place. Now I don't have that glued in place yet, but we want to kind of do a mock-up like that. So this is upside down, of course. And you see how everything is kind of go together there? So slide that down a little bit more. Yeah, so I need to fudge things around a little bit. So it's going to be best for us to glue in the rear axle and the ladder bars before we get to the actual bags. So we're going to do that right now. A little bit of canopy glue and these little micro brushes. After they've had their life used up brush wise, I just pop off the top of the old brush, and now it becomes a paint application stick. So we're going to paint glue application. Gosh, I'm still tired from that 48-hour build, guys. All right, we don't want tons, just enough to get the job done, because we will have to pull this all apart when we go to sand and paint everything. Yay! Okay, goodly amount in there. Now, canopy glue dries faster than PVA glue because of how it's formulated. I think it's just because it's a little bit thicker, there's less moisture in it. But it doesn't dry as fast as super glue. However, we can go back and pull this stuff apart should we choose to. I'm going to set that down, and I think I need a little bit of a spacer. Hang on. All right, craft sticks. Craft sticks are great spacers when it comes to doing suspension lowering and figuring out your ride height. So there we go. Oh, I need something that fits inside the frame. Actually, no, that's good. That's good. I like that. Okay. There we go. The high spot of the pumpkin sitting on there. So that's good. And then this guy, I'm going to go ahead and risk it. Go ahead and risk it. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not fully in camera there. There you go. Go ahead and risk it. I'm going to add some glue to those surfaces and a little bit to the spring bottoms. Bag bottoms. There we go. It's baggy. All right. And then it's going to go bags forward. And of course, Lucas is texting me while I'm doing this. I'm doing something very delicate and on camera. There we go. Okay, so that feels good. Ride height wise, I think we're going to be okay for right now. This is just a general setup thing. All right, I want to set that aside. Move this in its entirety back over there, and then we'll put on the front spindles. Okay, so the spindle, let's get a little close up here. A little close up look, and we haven't seen this guy in forever, so let's bring out our buddy BG, little BG. So you see these little this little ridge right here, that's going to be very important, both top and bottom. So on the actual upper arms, let's see here. So get this in a way where I can get the pointer in the way so I can get in there. So do you see that little groove that's there just past the barrel shape? That's both on the underside and the top side of the arms. Those are going to sit on that little ridge that we see deep down inside there. Focus. There we go. Okay, so even on the piece that the bag's going to hold on to, everybody has a little bit of a little knuckle that can go on there. So we're going to line it up on camera as best we can. Hook those on there like that. And then this stuff will flex just a little bit, but not much. Looks like we got to do a little bit of sanding on that piece right down there to get in there a little better. I think I'm actually going to sand the bracket more than that. That feels like it's going to be super delicate. Let's get something that's got some mild aggressiveness to it, like a 240. And coming at you. There we go. A couple of quick swipes on either side. Let's see how we're doing, because we did not need to do much. And have it upside down. There we go. I'm sorry, guys. I'm doing this while looking around. Let's put this in first, see how it fits. Because that little dude's kind of buried down in there. It's hard to get a pity on there and put that in place. So we'll get out the tweezers and just kind of. Oh boy, you want to be a finicky little guy, don't you? There we go. I think we got him now. Welcome to another episode of Struggles with Brian. This one should be narrated by Mrs. BG. All right. Yeah, I need to do a little bit more sanding on that guy there, but I think you're getting the idea of how that's going to go together. Oh, it's not springing back off again, so I guess that's a good sign. Cool. All right, so I'm going to check our buildup over here. How are you guys doing? Oops, a little bit misaligned there. Cool. More. There we go. Okay, I think that's good. Now, I'm just going to set it on here as thus. And now, let's move this out of the way. Oh, there's no way I could be that close. All right, let's move this over here a little bit. So that, do that on both sides. Oh, you shifted. Oh, you bugger. Do it on both sides. Oops. By Jove, I think we've got it. Oh, you know what? Just keep bumping it, man. That's awesome. Can do this 1,000 times off camera, but as soon as we turn on the camera, clots. There we go. That side looks cool. Boy, you're just gonna shift everywhere, aren't you? All right. Going right down the center of each one. And we need to shift back. You guys are probably yelling at the screen, "You're doing it wrong." I'm sorry. Okay, that's good. That's good there. So, marking tool. There we go. Now I will cut this just a little bit long, just because. Oops, that mark is bad. It's a bad mark. All right, I'll put a straight edge across there. I'm going to get out a drafting square and then fix that up there, but we'll be right back. Okay, so we got our marks. We're doing the farthest one down. Those are the best ones there to use. And we're just going to use a regular old back cut saw or razor saw, whatever you want to call it. And then I'll go ahead and do that. But I'm going to do that off camera because I have to get up close to this so I can see it a lot better, and the camera's kind of in the way. So we'll come back once we have that cut. All right, so we got our frame chopped, and it was pretty straightforward to do with that long back cut saw. But I would suggest, because we had to, in this particular application, we had to remove the two areas that have the cross supports. So that makes this a little wiggly. So I would suggest, if you have the tool, use a motorized tool with a cutoff wheel. That might go better for you rather than using a saw and dragging it across, because the resistance and everything causes this to all. I was really worried that I was going to snap it up in here, and I did not want to deal with that. So we just took our time, which took quite a while, so we did it off camera. Now, again, little notches cut into here. Those are going to line up with the frame pieces, and that's why I cut this just a little bit long, because I wasn't sure how much of it was going to go into these areas here. I didn't want to cut it too short and have a really weird gap. So that's lining up pretty well. Yep, that feels good there. So that's awesome. Nice and flat on the table. That's looking good. That feels good. Press right here. Yeah, that's going to be good. Okay, cool. Now, how do we do on our distances? So what reference points we're going for is the center of this axle tube, roughly. Center of that axle hole, roughly. But let's see here. Get this a little bit better on camera. And we're just going to have to eyeball it because it's kind of weird with how narrow this rear end is. Tucks in quite a bit. So match that right up there. And I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but we are extremely close. I'm going to leave it there and then rotate up. And do you see our gray frame is just a little bit longer than the white frame, which is great because now we can double check, make sure this is set together good. We can actually pop this apart and do a little bit of filing and sanding to bring these down to the exact length we want it to be without having to do we do the gross cut and we come back and do the fine cut. So that's kind of how I like to do it. Yeah, it's double the work, but it's less having to replace parts. So there you go. But yeah, that's really, we're really in the ballpark. This is going to be, this is the interior tub that's going to be sitting over the top of all this. We do have to take our glue and not leave that where we're going to set stuff on it. It does seem to fit in between here pretty well, so we'll have to, I think we'll have to do a little bit of filing on these to widen those up a little bit. But the big thing for us is going to be cutting out this section here. And I thought, oh man, it's going to be difficult trying to figure out how to incorporate just this size and where to cut it in here, blah, blah, blah. And then it hit me. That axle is so narrow that I will have to bring the rear wheels in like that. So this is cool. I like the shape of this wheel arch. So I'm going to keep that, and then we're just going to draw a line straight across on both the front and rear, and then slice out the piece in between. And then we'll get some styrene sheet and then just fabricate up over the top of that. And just do that way. I don't want to do a roll. I'll just do it over the top of that. So I thought that might be a cool way to fix that. We incorporate the rear suspension piece and then also the sucked in wheels a little bit too. So hopefully that works out. We probably will have to cut out the insides of those. So we'll see how that goes. But that's how we plan on tackling all that stuff. Meantime, we're going to, again, do a little bit more filing and sanding on these pieces here to make sure they're all the right proper length, and then put it back together, and we'll super glue this part here. Everything else is white glued for mock-up purposes. Or there is one other modification we'll have to make on the actual pickup, the Blazer, and that is right through here on the wheel arches on the inside, the inner fenders or inner liners, whatever we call them. We will have to notch those up a little bit because of, let's move this out of the way here. There we go. Because these pieces right here are going to interfere with that. So we want that body to sit down on this as proper as possible. So we'll have to notch around those. Shouldn't be too much of a difficulty figuring out where exactly to do that on here. It's just going to be a matter of setting that on there, making some notches and making some cuts. And there we go. But I think the big part of this, getting this length figured out, has been tackled. And now everything else is going to be cake or gravy on a cake. There we go. Okay, cool. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you stuck around this long. Appreciate that very much. And of course, if you did, go get yourself a cookie. And closing words for this video. Remember, kindness is never wasted. It always comes back to you. Y'all take it easy, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye now.